From stories across the globe to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifah Tahir.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
Library facilities from the President on World Children's Day. Pujit Jasundara says he was not aware that a national policy was formulated for security and defense. The President says that Sri Lanka will commit to protect and sustainably manage natural resources. The Prime Minister assures to commit in establishing a children's hospital in each province.
Moving on to the stories in detail. Today is Vap Full Moon Poya Day, on which a number of important events took place in the history of the Sasana. With Vap Poya Day begins the Katina Chivara Puja period. Many events of merit were organized in temples across the island. It has been mentioned in the history of Sasana that the Lord Buddha visited the heavenly abode Tautisa and preached Abhidhamma to deities and returned to Sankaspura in Damadiva on Vap Poya Day. A sapling of the Jayashri Mahabodhi Anuradhapura was brought to the island on this Poya Day. The passing away of Arahat Mahinda, who transformed Sri Lanka into Dhamma Island, and chanting of Vinaya Pitaka by the Arahat Aritta at the Thuparame also took place on Vap Poya Day. The conclusion of the Vas season also takes place on the Vap Full Moon Poya Day. The 202nd Dhamma sermon of the Amadam Sisila Dhamma program was held at Temple Trees this morning with the presence of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Dhamma sermon was conducted by Tripitakacharya Rajakiya Pandita Venerable Balangoda Radhathera. Many devotees were present for this Dhamma sermon. The inauguration ceremony to distribute Buduput Suraksha Healthcare titles was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees today. The Buduput Suraksha program has been initiated, covering 15,000 bhikkhus in the country. The Premier symbolically distributed the titles for several bhikkhus during the ceremony. The Premier instructed to allocate a financial provision of 40 million rupees from the Buddha Sasana Fund to the healthcare program at the beginning. Another fund worth 50 million rupees also has been directed to the program through the government. And meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office has indicated that 7.3 million rupees have been received as donations. And also, meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa greeted with his presence at the religious ceremonies to bless the Mahanayaka of the Amarapura chapter, Agga Maha Pandita Mahopadya Most Venerable Kotuguda Dhammavasa Thera yesterday. The Bodhi Puja was conducted by the Sri Lanka Civil Defence Force in the Dharmapalarama Vihare in Mount Lavinia. Upon his request, the President wished good health for the Most Venerable Kotuguda Dhammavasa Thera, who is unwell at present. The Bodhi Puja was conducted by Vichitta Dharma Katika Venerable Gampaha Mahanama Thera. A request by the Farmers Association to construct the Rannaka tank situated in the hometown of the Mahanayaka Thera was handed over to the President by the Mahanayaka Thera. The Director General of the Sri Lanka Civil Defence Rear Admiral Anand Peres and members of the Dayaka Sabha were present at this ceremony. The Sadharma Varsha Poya Day program, organized by the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, was held at the Abhayarama Vihare in Narayanpeta. A number of initiatives, including Atasil, Bodhi Puja, and also Dhamma discussions and social welfare events, were also held under the program. And the chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka, Director General Ajit Naragal were present at this event. The program was conducted under the guidance of the Abhayaramadipati Venerable Muruttetwe Ananda Thera.
Something that changes your life story. Litro Gas.
Today is the World Children's and Elders Day. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa joined to celebrate the World Children's Day by donating libraries for schools in 5 districts. With the World Children's Day on October 1st, the month of reading commences as well. President Rajapaksa, in parallel to the International Day, donated 5 libraries with the intention of simultaneously motivating the next generation to read books. President symbolically donated 5 libraries for Lunavilla Anuruddha Central College Puttalam, Dolasbagi Junior School Gampala, Government Tamil Mixed School Tharmapuram, Vijaya Kumaratunga Vidyalaya Kuruvita and Kilana Vidyarthodaya Mahavidyalaya Gaur.
හැබැයි සමහර පන්තික ඉන්නේ කෙනයි. ඉතින් ඒක හරි ගස්සන්න ඕන. මොකද මොකක් හරි ක්‍රමවේදයක් තියෙනවා දාන්න ඕන මේ ළමයිට. ඒක ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ ළමයි ටිකට ඉන්නේ නැත්තේ වැඩි දෙනෙක් අර පහසුකම් නැති නිසා දීලා.
ගුරු හිගිය නිසාම දෙමව්පියෝ ළමයි අරගෙන නගරයට යනවා. නගරයට ප්‍රෝන්තාව වැඩි. ඒ ගුරු හිගිය නිසා.
ඒවයි තියනවාද ඉන්නවද ළමයි? ගුරු නගරේ ඉන්නේ
නගරේ පාසලේ
නගර පාසලවල ඉන්නවා.
අතිරික්තයි.
Buses that had been out of commission were repaired in an attractive manner as libraries for children. Each fully fledged library cost around 1 million rupees. Mobitel has provided e-library facilities, thereby enabling students to study information technology and refer e-books online. The project to provide libraries was sponsored by the Sri Lanka Transportation Board, National Library and Documentation Board and SLT Telecom. The books donated by the publishers at the annual books exhibition held at BMICH were also handed over to these libraries. The President engaged in a cordial conversation with the students and invited them to see the Presidential Secretariat as well. This year's World Children's Day was held under the theme Ape Rata, Ape Dathin. World Children's Day was first established and celebrated in 1954. Accordingly, many countries celebrate the Children's Day on various suitable days. Sri Lanka celebrates the Children's Day on the 1st of October. National celebrations of the World Children's Day set to be held at the Ape Gama premises in Battaramulla tomorrow. State Minister P.L. Nishantha said that close to 350 students are expected to take part in this ceremony. The national television will telecast live the national celebrations of the World Children's Day from 9:30 a.m. onwards. The World Children's Day celebrations organized by the Senahasa Education, Research and Information Centre was held today with the presence of Mrs. Ayoma Rajapaksha and commanders of the Tri-Forces. The ceremony was held at the Senahasa Education, Research and Information Centre. This year's World Elders Day is taking place with the theme Challenges Before the Elders Amidst the Pandemic Situation. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa issued a special message to mark the ceremony held in celebrations of the International Day. The Prime Minister has stated that the government has taken steps for a mediation based on policy considering the high risks faced by the elders during an epidemic at an era with a global unrest due to the COVID-19 outbreak. In his message, the Prime Minister has insisted the people to rally together on this World Elders Day to create a change in attitudes to refrain from allowing aging parents to spend the rest of their lives in elders' homes. The national ceremony on World Elders Day was held with the presence of Pavitra Vanyarachi at Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. The ceremony was organized by the National Secretariat for the Elderly.
The government of Sri Lanka is committed to protect and sustainably manage natural resources, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said, addressing a virtual gathering of the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity held in parallel to the 75th General Assembly of the United Nations. President Rajapaksa addressed the UN Summit at 7:30 p.m. local time yesterday via online video technology. The summit was held under the theme of Urgent Action on Biodiversity for Sustainable Development. The inaugural address of the summit was delivered by the President of the 75th session of the UN General Assembly, Volkan Bozkır. The summit is set to highlight the crisis facing humanity from the degradation of biodiversity and the urgent need to accelerate action on biodiversity for sustainable development. It will provide an opportunity for heads of state and government and other leaders to raise ambition for the development of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework to be adopted at the 15th Conference of Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity in 2021. Addressing the summit, the President emphasized on the critical need for a transformational change in the relationship between nature and people and contemporary global environmental governance.
Mr. President, I have the honor to introduce the recorded statement to the Summit on Biodiversity by His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Aiboa. I am deeply honored to represent the people of Sri Lanka at this high-level summit on biodiversity. The concepts of biodiversity must be at the very core of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Despite the rapid decline seen in biodiversity globally over the recent decades, Sri Lanka is deeply committed to uphold the overarching spirit of the Convention on Biodiversity. There is a critical need for a transformational change in the relationship between nature and people and contemporary global environmental governance. As a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, Sri Lanka endorsed the Commonwealth Blue Charter in 2018, and as such, we will champion the Commonwealth Blue Charter Action Group on mangrove ecosystems and livelihoods. Further, the Colombo Declaration on Sustainable Nitrogen Management was adopted last year. We as world leaders must better manage nitrogen, ensuring the sustenance of humankind. Sri Lanka is home to two UNESCO Natural Heritage Sites, the Central Highlands and the Singaraja Rainforest Reserve. We are also proud of our 6 sites recognized under the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. Sri Lanka firmly stands committed to protect and sustainably manage these natural assets that contributes to our unique and rich biodiversity. We have been mindful of conserving ecosystems to the highest extent possible, even during the redesigning of cities and urban areas. The wetland parks that we have created in cities, especially in and around our capital, Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte, are home to an array of plant and animal species, offering a mini rainforest experience within crowded cities. The ancient governance of Sri Lanka was built on the concept that the ruler is never the owner of the land. He is merely its caretaker on behalf of his countrymen and all living beings. This is the very principle that my government has adopted in our development agenda. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, as mere trustees of this planet and its resources, we must resolve to protect what is in our trust and pass it to future generations as best as we could. Thank you.
I thank the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka for the statement just made.
Moving on to more stories, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says he strongly believes that a children's hospital should be established in each province. The Prime Minister mentioned that the attention of the government has been directed in this regard. He made these remarks while taking part in a ceremony held to commemorate the World Children's Day and 125th anniversary celebrations of the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital today. The event was organized to mark the laying of the foundation stone for the 9-storied intensive care and surgical ward complex and the unveiling of the new operational theatre complex and the new bone marrow transplant unit. Only 2 children's hospitals are established in Kandy and Colombo, and the government has taken steps to develop children's hospitals covering each province. The Prime Minister and his wife Shiranti Rajapaksa presented gifts for children in parallel to the World Children's Day. The launching of the website of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital and the digital clinic's methodologies was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Prime Minister was also presented with a book titled Kaluvara Ahasata Sandapayala, written by nursing officer G.H.A. Hevage during this occasion. Meanwhile, chairman of the Sushikala Products Private Company, Kalana Hevamallika, donated a sum of 700 rupees to the Little Hearts Fund at this event. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that only 2 children's hospitals are available in the country, and those are in Kandy and Colombo. He said that in his belief, every province should have 1 children's hospital at minimum. He said that the health care of the children in the country should be ensured and strengthened as they are the next leaders of this nation. He said that they have proposed to the Education Minister to provide a glass porridge for every student.
අපි යෝජනා කරනවා ග්‍රාම නැමැතුමාටත් මේ පාසල් වලට කැඳ වීදුරුවක් ශක්තිමත් පානයක් ලබා දීමට පියවර ගන්න සෑම දරුවෙකුටම.
Mrs. Shiranti Rajapaksa, Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi and State Minister Sisira Jayakuri were present at this occasion.
Pujit Jayasundar, who assumed the IGP post for more than 3 years, revealed to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the Easter Sunday attacks today that he was unaware of the formulation of a national policy on national security of the country up until yesterday. The former IGP informed the Commission that he was also unaware of the existence of an institute under the title Institute of National Security Studies, Sri Lanka, to present the alleged threats on the national security on a monthly basis. The former IGP Pujit Jayasundara was summoned before Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Easter Sunday attacks for the 7th day to record his statement. Responding to a query raised by the Commission, the former IGP said that if any information received over the potential threat or a potential assassination attempt against the President, despite the validity of the intelligence information, such information will be directed to the President while raising concerns over the source of the information. The former IGP further stated that while prioritizing this information, despite no date nor time have been indicated in the gathering of the information, necessary action will be taken to convene the parties which provided the information and proceed with the relevant discussions accordingly. The Presidential Commission inquired whether the former IGP had no intention to safeguard the devotees who were engaged in their religious observances when he was informed through a prior notice from the Chief of Intelligence in accordance to information gathered by the National State Intelligence Service. In response, the former IGP said that though he had the urgency to inform in this regard, he had proceeded with his maximum to take necessary initiatives. However, he claimed that the letter received from him, the State Intelligence Service, had cited that the Catholic churches of the country and the Indian High Commission were definite targets. Then the Commission inquired the reason for the former IGP to halt after citing and further inquired whether he opted to disregard this letter. And thereon, the former IGP said that he never disregarded the letter of this nature. He added that as the rest of the letter had indicated that Zaharan had spread views on social media, instigating his followers to assassinate other religious followers. The Commission inquired whether further information had been provided regarding Zaharan Hashim in previous occasions. Agreeing with the Commission, the former IGP said that out of the 6 names, only 3 names were verified by the State Intelligence Service at the time of the attack and was not verified through the intelligence report. In the meantime, the Commission inquired from the former IGP, even though an experienced officer, whether he is unable to take decisions with the available information and failing to take necessary measures to prevent the attack, while claiming that he was not provided with all information in this regard. Responding to the Commission, the former IGP said that in accordance with the instructions directed to him by the then President Maithripala Sirisena, and considering the situation which occurred in the aftermath, directing him not to conduct open investigations since ISIS is currently engaging in the investigation process. Responding to a query raised over the Institute of National Security Studies, Sri Lanka, the former IGP said that he was unaware of the existence of an institute under the title Institute of National Security Studies, Sri Lanka, to present the alleged threats on the national security on a monthly basis. He said that he was also unaware of the formulation of a national policy on national security of the country up until yesterday. Welcome back to the news, and we have more local stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed officials to complete the construction of the second terminal of the Katunayake Bandaranaike International Airport before the end of 2023. The construction of the second terminal, which was commenced in 2014, was expected to be completed by the end of 2017. The experts have pointed out that many sections of the proposed terminal are not viable for the present day, as the constructions were not carried out in accordance to the proposed plans. These remarks were made during a discussion held last evening over the future plans of the Aviation Services and Export Zonal Development State Ministry. Lengthy discussions were carried out over the future measures to be taken before the negative conditions which have affected the airport and aviation services since the international flights have declined with the COVID-19 outbreak. The President instructed the relevant authorities to accelerate the construction process over day and night. Considering the present situation at the airport, head of the Economic Revival and Poverty Eradication Task Force, Basil Rajapaksa, said that the Terminal 2 of the Bandaranaike International Airport should be developed into a smart terminal with advanced technologies. With the completion of the construction of the second terminal, the airport is expected to provide services and operational facilities for over 15 million passengers within a year. Meanwhile, the Mattala International Airport had provided services for 270 aviation operations, which have benefited over 12,000 passengers from January to September this year. At the meeting, it was proposed for Sri Lankan Airlines to commence operations from Mattala International Airport with 7 regular flights per week. Minister Prasanna Ranathunga and also Minister D.V. Chanaka and Secretary to the President T.B. Jayasundara were present at this occasion.
Today marks the International Day for Older Persons. Addressing a conference held in celebrations of the International Day, consultant community physician Dr. Shiromi Maduage said that older population is a vulnerable group due to their poor immunity status and the presence of multiple comorbidities, encountering multiple health and social concerns during pandemic situations similar to COVID-19. A conference was organized in celebrations of the International Day for Older Persons at the Health Promotion Bureau Auditorium. Sri Lanka defines elderly population as those who have completed 60 years of age and above. It is estimated that the elderly population expected to reach almost 30% by 2050 in Sri Lanka. Many health advancements have taken place, including improving awareness on active aging throughout life course. Based on the needs, requirements and enhancing the quality health care for older persons, 5-year action plan is in progress in par with the elderly health policy and health care delivery plan.
සම්පත්දායකයන් ලෙස මිනිස්සාට පැමිණි වෛද්‍යවරුන් ප්‍රමුඛ හැමදෙනාගේම දුරකථනක් ලබා දෙන්නම්. ඒ ලබා දෙන
COVID-19, our elders are very much vulnerable. So why they are vulnerable? Because of their immunity is going down with the aging, and also they are more prone to comorbid diseases like especially the non-communicable diseases, heart disease, hypertension, hypercholesterol or cancers or whatever the non-communicable diseases. So they are more prone for comorbidities, and because of these two reasons they are more vulnerable for COVID-19. So with this we have seen certain positives and negatives of, we have experienced those things during the COVID-19 pandemic high peak situation. Of the positives, we have seen that elderly people within the family, what they have given to their younger generation as well as their immediate elders. I mean that not the elders, actually the young parents. And apart from that, how they shared their experiences, how they lived with them within, because though we have the certain instances we have extended family system, but within that extended family system we have certain nuclear family systems as well. So our elders have lived within those two eras, extended as nuclear. So they have shared their experiences and all those stuff in a positive way. Same like they have experienced many negative aspects which they have shared those things with us because we need those things. We expect to have as is a future endeavors. We wanted to plan action plans or the strategic plans, how to face global pandemics for elders as well. Because this was a facility we haven't given for them yet, because we were not experienced those type of things earlier. Now we are in the process of planning action plans and how to face the pandemics in future for elderly. And of those negatives, we are very much keen on how they have experienced the elder abuse things, injuries at home, and apart from that, their loneliness, how to address their loneliness, and also their e-learning as that's another area which we are thinking of to give some sort of awareness and how they should take those things in a positive manner, the e-learning. At least how to use some small things, not very sophisticated things. Based on those things, and also as the reforms of the country, health services, we are thinking of 5-year plan for better quality care for elderly.
Moving on with more local stories, ceremony to award certificates of the State Children's Art Festival was held at the Nelum Pokuna Theatre today under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. This State Children's Art Festival was held in parallel to the International Children's Day. 3,000 artworks competed in the festival this year, out of which 115 artworks were commended and awarded with certificates. The festival was jointly organized by the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Department of Cultural Affairs, Sri Lanka Art Society and State Visual Art Sub-Board. Minister G.L. Piri, State Ministers Vidura Vikramanayaka and P.L. Nishantha were present at this occasion.
The Dematagada police have arrested 2 suspects along with a cache of 90 grams of heroin in their possession. The arrest was made at the Maligavatta multi-storied housing complex. The police have taken the suspects into custody after observing their unusual and suspicious behavior near the Disanayaka multi-storied housing unit in the complex. During the inspection, they were able to recover a cache of heroin in their possession. The police have claimed the suspect alleged to be linked with high-level illegal drug traffickers. That's about it on the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.
Good night.